Good afternoon. Today I'm sitting here at the Moravian Archives with Paul, and we're here to talk about a couple of different ways of supporting the important work of the Moravian Archives. This is one of a series of programs that is available online for your viewing. I'm Steve Link. I work with Cornerstone Advisors in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And over the course of the last 6 months, the archives and I have been working together on plan gifts and looking at ways to help build the foundation to support the work of the archives. I'm not an attorney. Paul's not an attorney. We're not financial advisors or CPAs. This is meant to be a verbal conversation to plant ideas with you that you can investigate with your professional advisors. We're not providing legal or accounting or financial advice. And so today, we'd like to focus on legacy giving and what that means. This term is bandied about in the financial press and fundraising, and we thought we would spend a few minutes discussing that. So, Paul, could you give us an idea of some of the legacy kinds of gifts that have come to the Moravian Archives and the impact that they have had for the archives?
We've received gifts in different forms. We've received manuscripts, we've received paintings, we've received cash donations, and we've received stock donations.
Do these typically come while people are still alive? Is this a mix of people who are making a gift during lifetime and then something that's following up after their passing?
Mostly gifts come after they pass.
Okay. And do you get informed of these gifts during a particular donor, perhaps you who are the viewer, during the lifetime of the person, or is this a big surprise when it happens?
Sometimes we know that someone is considering to donate after their death, but usually it is a surprise as to what exactly we will receive.
Is it helpful from the archive standpoint to know, not necessarily what the dollar amount's going to be, but what, if it's certainly an addition to the archive's collection, what the item is, and if it is coming with some kind of restriction or preference, is it helpful to you to know that in advance to make sure that it's something that the archives can actually utilize and implement if it has a restriction?
If it's a financial gift and there's a restriction or a specific purpose for the gift, I think it's very good to discuss that with us before, or let's say to discuss this as long as we still can. But also with gifts in kind, it's good to know what is coming, if it fits our collection. And it's good to know the intention of the donor, because sometimes there are misunderstandings after people pass away. So it's good to have a conversation with people as long as they are around.
Without naming names, can you give an example maybe of one misunderstanding to kind of help our viewers understand where something might be problematic?
We received a set of paintings a couple of years ago, and it was a large family, and not everybody in the family agreed that these paintings that had been in the family for a long time were going to the archives. But I remembered a conversation with the donor where they were very clear about that these items should go to the archives and not stay in the family. That made me more confident in saying this is what the will says, and this is what we want to follow.
Got it. So it is really helpful to have a clear written documentation of what a gift is intended for and the gift itself that's supposed to come to the archives. And once we're gone, it's much harder to ascertain what a person's wishes are, and then it becomes a question of what one person heard versus another person. And there are a lot of lawsuits today, unfortunately, within families when there are misunderstandings about what the intent was of the person who passed away. Could you give us an example of a planned gift that has had tremendous impact for the archives?
Yes. A few years ago, we received a financial gift that was so large that allowed us to create 2 full-time positions. And that has made an enormous change in what we do and how we do it.
And is that something you had a conversation with the individual before their passing, or was this a surprise that was basically a flexible resource that left you the ability to then direct it for those purposes?
It was a complete surprise. We did not know the person. The person had never been in touch with the archives, not in the last 20 years. And yes, it was a nice surprise, but on the other hand, we always felt like we wanted to show some appreciation to that person if we were able to. And so we weren't, but it was a very wonderful surprise that we received.
Fantastic. So the opportunity is, if you have a desire to support the Moravian Archives, it is helpful to have a conversation in terms of what your interests are. And you can reach out to Paul, but you should also be in touch with your professional advisors to make sure that you are documenting this in your written plans. And I would make the case that it is helpful to also discuss this with your family members and heirs so that they know in advance what your wishes are, because that prevents disappointment and sometimes challenges after the fact. Thank you for joining us for this video. It's been a pleasure to visit with you, and we invite you to watch the other videos on various ways of giving to the archives. Again, we encourage you to reach out to your professional advisors before making any decisions with significant financial or tax ramifications. Thanks again.